Hello, my YouTube family. So I'm live streaming to you from a walk-in closet at my the place where we're staying. It's my partner's parents' place in the States. They don't live here full time, but they have a lot of family here. Anyway, they have a walk-in closet, and I'm using it to record my audiobook as a built-in studio, and it's been working really well. I've been live streaming the intro and preface and those kinds of things as I've been recording them on my Instagram. And I just thought it would be fun to come over here to YouTube and stream chapter 1 of the book. So it's not an audiobook that's available yet. I'm literally recording it in real time right now with you. And then it's got to be, edited and produced, and I have to do the whole rest of the book. So it's going to be a while. But I just kind of thought, I don't know, it would be fun to come over here and do this. So I hope you enjoy it. My book is called The Revolution Will Be Bloody. If you haven't had a look at it, you're welcome to head over to my website, theperiodcoach.com/revolution. It will take you to the book. You can even download a sample on theperiodcoach.com on the main page. There's a sample where you can read the preface and introduction and kind of get a feel for if it's something that you want to buy. And there's an ebook and print book available of it. I have my business bestie, who is an absolute 100% audio person, wants an audio book. So I'm figuring out how to do audiobooks now, and all because I just love her so much. But, I wanted to have an audiobook at some point anyway. And once we found out we were going to be able to be here for a couple of months uninterrupted, and that there's a walk-in closet that we've got all of our clothes and towels and blankets and winter clothes and hats and things here to dampen the sound, I just sort of thought, this is kind of the perfect time to do it. So I'm going to go hit record. I'm keeping my computer in the bathroom that's attached so that the fan kicking on doesn't get picked up by the recording. So I'm going to go out there, hit record. I'm going to come back in here. We're going to have a pause, and I'm going to read through chapter 1 of the book. So I hope you like it. Chapter 1, Deprogramming the Patriarchy. The greatest trick ever pulled. The first step on this journey to starting a revolution will be seeing the world around us a bit differently. And I'll be honest, it's going to suck at first. Please don't stop here though, because as I said in the introduction, this is a journey. We will come around to a powerful, positive ending. My goal here is for you to see how we've all been manipulated, how that manipulation happened, and the effect this total brainwashing has had on us. I promise this will all circle back to our periods, but I can't skip how we got here. Unless you know that, embracing your cycle is next to impossible. You can't hear the truth in your body. I'd like to begin the words I didn't know how to pronounce her name properly. I had to go to a little moment. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I hope that I don't butcher that too badly. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Oh, let's try it again. From the top. Chapter 1. Deprogramming the Patriarchy. The greatest trick ever pulled. The first step on this journey to starting a revolution will be seeing the world around us a bit differently. And I'll be honest, it's going to suck at first. Please don't stop here though, because as I said in the introduction, this is a journey. We will come around to a powerful, positive ending. My goal here is for you to see how we've all been manipulated, how that manipulation happened, and the effect this total brainwashing has had on us. I promise this will all circle back to our periods, but I can't skip how we got here. Unless you know that, embracing your cycle is next to impossible. You can't hear the truth in your body. I'd like to begin with the words of author, speaker, and feminist Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. In our world, a man is confident, but a woman is arrogant. A man is uncompromising, but a woman is a ball breaker. A man is assertive, a woman is aggressive. A man is strategic, a woman is manipulative. A man is a leader, a woman is controlling. A man is authoritative, a woman is annoying. Adichie speaks about anger. Adichie speaks about anger and about the difference in how men and a woman are treated. Adichie speaks about anger and about the difference in how men and women. Adichie speaks about anger and about the difference in how men and women are treated when they express anger. And you'll no doubt find yourself angry at moments reading her book too. In a particularly powerful part of her speech, she says, quote, "Anytime I talk about feminism, there is invariably someone who pops up and labels me angry. It's as if a woman is not allowed to feel anger without being reduced to being only about anger. Anger is a human emotion," end quote. She goes on to acknowledge that we can feel anger or any other emotion without being defined by it. Then she finishes, quote, "But my feeling angry does not mean that I am an angry person. A man who shows righteous anger is not likely to be reduced to that label of angry person," end quote. One of the greatest tricks the patriarchy ever pulled was convincing us all that women are less than men. Because of this, they insist, we have to complete each other. One of the greatest tricks the patriarchy ever pulled was convincing us all that women are less than men. Because of this, they insist, we have to compete against each other for the leftover scraps. It's not a competition. Human history wasn't always this man-topped cake. We know there were cultures where women were leaders, but then there was a shift. Men took over, violently. The result? We started to believe that other women were the enemy. Once we swallowed that belief, a whole poison feast of other beliefs came with it. Beliefs like, we're ugly, stupid, and shameful. We have to strive to be unattainably perfect. Men's orgasms matter more than ours, if we even have one. It's easier to just let men do what they want to our bodies than to say no. If we just lost weight, wore more makeup, got better clothes, wore couture jewelry, used different perfume, whitened our teeth, reduced the lines on our faces or the years from our bodies, waxed the hair off of our bodies, gained muscles, lost muscles, had thicker or curlier or straighter hair, had blue eyes or lavender eyes or brown eyes, then and only then would we be worthy of love. We've also bought completely the lie that there are only so many men, aka providers, which means we have to fight other women to get one. Let's unpack the binary black or white assumptions in that idea. The first thing it gets wrong is that there are two types of people only: men or women, providers, men only, or caretakers, women only. Providers, men only, or caretakers, women only. A scarcity of men means we women have to compete. A scarcity of men means we women have to compete to secure one, as if nailing down a man is all there is to life. As if we ourselves can't be providers, assuming we want to be. I mean, no disrespect to women who want to stay home and raise their kids. It's absolutely a valid life choice. But so is running a Fortune 500 company and never having kids. So is getting married or living in a poly home with many lovers. So is being a single mom. And so is, I think, the most threatening thing of all, choosing to be a single woman with no kids. These options and many more are all valid. So many women try to fight me on this, though. It kills me to see women out there actively defending their own lack of choice. They honestly believe that women can't be leaders or have a head for finances or make important decisions. They insist that other women shouldn't be able to vote or work or be unmarried. Why? Because they've been conned into accepting that women really are less than. And it breaks my heart. Then there's the Madonna whore dichotomy. The idea that other women can only be one of two extreme things, with neither being actually good. A woman is either a skinny, ball-breaker CEO or an overweight doormat of a mom. She's either a slut or a prude. She doesn't get any other options, and most of the roles are about her body, how it looks, and how she chooses to use it. You'll learn a lot in the next chapter about how we women began being so mean to each other. Advertising plays a giant role in this. You've probably noticed the unattainable perfection marketing shows us. Women who are already stunningly beautiful by our culture standards are still photoshopped. They're digitally altered to be taller, thinner, flawless, and something we mere mortals can never be. Even the women in the photos can't manage to be what they're shown as. Advertising has changed a little over time, at least on the surface. Ads back in the 50s, the marketing Mad Men era, overtly showed women in positions of servitude. Some ads joked about how men weren't beating their wives anymore, or posed the question of whether killing a woman was always illegal. In these ads, women were disposable commodities. If they didn't want to be thrown out, they had to be perfect 24/7, vacuum cleaner pushing, pearl wearing, tiny waisted, yes of course honey, dolls who were of course never had a period. If they didn't want to be thrown out, they had to be perfect 24/7, vacuum cleaner pushing, pearl wearing, tiny waisted, yes of course honey, dolls who of course never had a period. Then, with the advent of highly visible published marketing platforms like TV and magazines, the messaging became more blatant. These ads showed women that if they slipped up and found These ads showed women that if they slipped up and found These ads showed women that if they slipped up and found out These ads showed women that if they slipped up and someone found out they had their period, all hell would break loose. The very fabric of our society would end. Incidentally, you see this same kind of marketing today from extremist churches and politicians. Their ads insist that accepting gay people or immigrants or allowing women to work outside the home or have any control over their own bodies will be the very undoing of our oh-so-moral country. The children will be scarred forever. That nonsense never stopped. It just got new branding. I wish I could say it's gotten better. Let's fast forward to more recent times. I think most of us know about the body shaming ads today. It's not just Victoria's Secret. Even PETA has been called out for fat shaming. But it continues, and it's not only about size. Nivea's Skin Lightening Cream is a clear example of basing women's value on their skin color. The company advertised their skin lightening cream in Africa with ads that subtly said a woman was worth more if she had a lighter skin tone. Of course, this is racist, and the skin tone-based hierarchy it creates make it even harder for women to come together. Bacardi came out with an ad for women telling them that an ugly girlfriend was the hottest accessory they could get to boost their looks. This has two underlying messages. The first is that we're always in competition with other women. The other is that no woman is worth more than her looks. Meanwhile, Audi compared buying a car to a woman, showing a soon-to-be mother-in-law grabbing the bride's mouth and checking her teeth as though she were a horse. And this was 2017, ladies, not back in the Mad Men era. Other dishonorable mentions include a 2016 ad by Sprite featured the tagline, and this was in 2017, ladies, not back in the Mad Men era. Other dishonorable mentions include a 2016 ad by Sprite featured the tagline, "She's seen more ceilings than Michelangelo. A 2 at 10 is a 10 at 2. Hashtag brutally refreshing, wouldn't you say? Belvedere's, unlike some people, Belvedere always goes down smoothly. Text accompanied a picture of a man dragging a woman from the bar. The president of the company later apologized, saying they hadn't seen the ad before it went out. The company also made a contribution to RAINN, the nonprofit Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, which at least acknowledges exactly what the ad implied. Trilogy described their rosehip oil as a new weapon in the war against other women. At least they came right out and said it. And don't even get me started on the marketing for vaginal douches. Whether it's to prevent pregnancy or STIs, marketers have tried rather successfully to make women think they need to douche. Today, 1 in 5 women still douche, despite the fact that even doctors warn women against it. Why? Probably because of all the ads they see about women's odor or smell, and how men will lock them out if they don't take care of their hygiene. I'll let you in on a secret. Your vaginal canal is self-cleaning. Your body is built to take care of your yoni. Those cervical fluids that douching gets rid of to help your help to keep your vaginal canal in a healthy state of balance. Your pubic hair prevents bad bacteria and yeasts getting past your vulva and into your vagina. Douching wreaks havoc on your pH balance and the ecosystem that keeps your reproductive system healthy. That's why one of my goals for this book is that you learn what normal actually is for you. I want you to know how you naturally smell. I want you to know what a normal, healthy discharge looks like. That way, if there ever is an infection, you'll know. Meanwhile, know that douching with any chemical-filled product is never the answer. All of this advertising works because it's filled the void we spoke about in the introduction. It tells us we're supposed to smell like flowers, and since we have no idea how we're supposed to smell, we think we failed. Our pussies are somehow supposed to smell like lavender or honey. Yet historically, those juices, yes, the cervical fluids from our own bodies, were used as a perfume for centuries, and probably far earlier. There are stories of French courtesans using a little bit of their juicy cervical fluid just as we'd use perfume today. They dab a little behind their ears and on their pulse points. Was it pheromones or just the swagger that women gained with this practice? Either way, Mama Gina, creator of the School of Womanly Arts and Pussy Pleasure Promoter, points out just how powerful the practice can be for women. In her book, Pussy, a Reclamation, she recommends this practice before any situation that demands a little extra boost, from asking for that raise to a blind date. Of course, you can't do that if you're douching, but oh boy, do those marketers really keep you feeling inadequate. They don't want you to realize your swagger is in your panties already. Nowhere is advertising crazier than with period products. Let's finish this marketing bit up by focusing on menstrual products and their discreet packaging. Because, of course, anyone finding out that you bleed would be the end of the world. The word period was actually unspoken on TV until 1985 when actress Courtney Cox said in a Tampax commercial. The word period was actually unspoken on TV until 1985 when actress Courtney Cox said it in a tampon commercial. The word period was actually unspoken on TV until 1985 when actress Courtney Cox said it in a Tampax commercial. You can still watch this commercial today on YouTube, but period products have actually been marketed continuously throughout the 20th century. You just had to know what you were looking at to realize it. Interestingly, pads were a World War I invention. Previously, most women had just used old rags that they either washed or threw away after use. But old rags aren't very absorbent, and they clearly don't stay in place well, so the need was there for something different. Meanwhile, a company called Kotex noticed that nurses on the battlefield used bandages made from cellucotton, a fabric that was more absorbent and cheaper than cotton, as disposable pads. Kotex then created an actual pad for any woman from the cellucotton, and with it, they became the Kleenex of pads. Here's what I mean. In the 1920s, Kotex assured women that they could ask for Kotex by name. This meant users wouldn't have to ask the clerk for a sanitary pad. Not only that, but the marketing assured them that their pads would come in a plain wrapper that fit in your shopping bag easily. And eventually, Kotex invented the first version of a vending machine. They created a box that a woman could buy pads from without ever having to actually acknowledge to another human being that she had periods. In other words, Kotex helped women to keep their menstrual cycles a secret. And hey, you can't blame them. Women today have a hard time buying menstrual products at the store. Kotex just used the taboo for their own gain. So while we don't have a taboo around tissues, many people still ask for one by saying, "Pass me a Kleenex." And that's exactly how Kotex used to encourage women to speak about pads. As time went by, advertising started showing women being active while using period products. This is when the shame was really made public. Ads told us that we should out and about, smiling and energized no matter what. Now that's fine if you're feeling energized and going out is what you want to do. But now suddenly you had to be that way. If you didn't, some other woman would come along and snag your man, as we learned in the marketing above. The message was clear: be perfect all the time or else. It was a real threat, especially in a world where women couldn't earn a living, own property, or have a bank account without a man. Tampax began selling via mail, assuring users that their tampons would arrive in plain paper-wrapped boxes. It was sort of like the way many women buy their vibrators and dildos now. Same shame, same plain paper-wrapped boxes. Same shame, same plain paper-wrapped boxes. Other ads seem to aim to make you wish you weren't a woman. It's too bad you're a woman, they imply, but here's a pad that will let you go and hang out with the boys anyway. Yet another ad for painkillers laments how hard it is for a man to have a bleeding woman around. Quote, "I feel sorry for any woman who suffers from menstrual pain, but I also feel sorry for her husband," end quote. Delightful. Sarcasm. It wasn't until 2017 that an ad used red liquid instead of blue in a commercial. Sure, the blood and gore of everyday TV is fine, but menstrual blood, non-violent blood, is just too much for delicate man eyes. And if that doesn't convince you, one final point. There's a blatant double standard when it comes to what companies can and can't say. There's a blatant double standard when it comes to what companies can and can't show and say in their ads to women. Thinx, a company that makes period underwear, uses visual metaphors like an egg spilling over the corner of a table or a half of a grapefruit lengthwise, looking like a yoni, in their marketing. Meanwhile, there's a plastic surgeon Meanwhile, there's a plastic surgeon in New York City who advertises breast augmentation with 2 pictures of a woman, each holding a set of citrus fruits in front of her breasts. It's in the first picture, the citrus fruits are small clementines, and the woman is frowning, obviously unhappy about her small breasts. In the second, the clementines have miraculously grown into bigger grapefruits, and she's smiling widely, delighted with her much larger breasts. Both of these ads use fruit as metaphors. One is very unsubtle about it, placing the fruit right in front of the body part they represent. The other isn't exactly subtle either, but it's not like the grapefruit is in between the woman's legs in the ad. Look, I'm from New York City. I used to ride the subway every day, seeing ads full of women in next to nothing, sometimes actually nothing. The plastic surgery ad was actually pretty tame, and it seemed to show up on the subways forever. I know that's hyperbole, I know, but it felt like forever, or maybe my barely A-cup boobs were just pissed at being dissed. Meanwhile, the Things ad was repeatedly refused for either being too risque or obscene. The good news is that Things did eventually win. Fight fruit with fruit, I guess. The Subway Management System Authority, MTA, originally said that it was using the word period. The Subway System Management Authority, MTA, originally said that using the word period was the reason. That only made everyone more pissed. I've had a Facebook ad rejected for using the word too. I was flummoxed, then angry, then launched a whole ranty campaign about it. I'm still mad for what it's worth. All of this shows you that you're surrounded by the enforcement of the taboo. Our marketing reflects just how little women are thought of and just how hidden we need to stay in our culture. Yes, we see photoshopped, faked women wearing nothing every day, and I'm certainly not shaming women's nudity. The problem is the marketing that goes along with the nudity. The marketing is telling us that we're not good enough to be nude as we are. It's saying we really need to stay covered up and endlessly buy the marketer's product until we reach this impossible perfect standard that, of course, we'll never achieve. We have to buy this weight loss shake to make our bodies bikini ready before we can show any skin. We have to use that moisturizer to make our skins clear and flawless. We have to use that moisturizer to make our skin clear and flawless, and only then can we go outside. And we have to use this discreetly packaged tampon and smile in our white shorts so no one ever knows we're bleeding. It's time to get back into our bodies. All of this marketing separates us from our own bodies. It makes us feel at war with our bodies and, of course, at war with other women. It's great for the patriarchy, though. We're so busy battling ourselves and each other that we don't even realize they've manipulated us right into where they want us. We simply accept that men can be anything no matter how they look. Men don't have to change a thing. Men are worth fighting over, and even the mean ones who hit you are better than nothing. It's the greatest trick ever pulled. And it's over. It's time to get back into our bodies. We need to learn how kick-ass cool we are right now. We're incredibly powerful in the bodies we're in right now, no matter what those bodies look like. Your body isn't an abstract concept. It's not something to control or bend to your will, even if that will is actually yours, rather than the will of a culture to keep you in your place. Your body isn't outside or other. It's not something to discipline. If I hear If I only had more discipline, far too often from women about their bodies. You don't need to discipline your body. She's done nothing wrong. Your body is the very thing holding your heart and soul together. It's your source of creation. Whether you have a physical womb or not, you are a source of life. That means your body creates. Your body is also how your spirit gets around day to day and should be treated as such. Most of us spend more time caring for and cleaning our homes or our cars than we even think about caring for our bodies. We only get this one body each, and we get it for a very short time. In the span of the universe, we're here for less than a blink of the eye. Yet our culture encourages us to spend that whole life hating our bodies. What a waste. Stop and think about that for a second. You've got one life and one body. Are you really willing to spend your time and energy hating them? What if we embraced our cycles? Now let's get really deep into our bodies. You can love the skin you're in and still hate your period. I see it every day. Women have come so far on their journey, but they find their blood gross, embarrassing, and taboo. We think of our periods as something to ignore, shove down, and repress, and if they weren't part of our very being. We think of our periods as something to ignore, shove down, and repress, as if they weren't part of our very being. They're our connection to the women who came before and our gift to the women who come next. They're our connection to spirit, soul, goddess, divinity, the universe, seasons, cycles, energy, everything. They're the very source of life. So why is it so important we pretend our periods aren't happening? Why do we act like they're nothing and try to prove that we can run with the big boys, as if that's the highest achievement for a woman? It's not like we can't do those things. Women can do anything, that's true. But who cares? Let's just run or sit or nap or sprint or stretch. Let's do all of those things as women instead of as women trying to be men because we're told that's the best we can be. Let's embrace our cycles and embrace what makes us different. We can use them as strength, as guides, as friends, and as power. This is the crux of it. You spend 5 to 7 days on average bleeding each lunar month, which means 13 times a year. And every time you feel shamed, embarrassed, and less than. Every time you see this marketing, you're reminded that you should feel bad and weak. One study estimates that women have an average of 453 One study estimates that women have an average of 451.3 periods in their lifetimes. The average bleed lasts 5 to 7 days. Let's say 6 days per cycle. By my calculation, that's 2,707.8 days, or 7.4-ish years of patriarchal culture reinforcing the idea that you're a lesser human being. Meanwhile, in a non-patriarchal culture, you'd spend those 7.4-ish years of your life feeling like a total badass. Bleeding without dying? No wonder women were thought of as magical. Of course, that got mutated into witches, which became a bad word, which we'll talk more on this in chapter 2. Instead, the patriarchy has you feeling, thinking, and believing that you're somehow less than because you're a bleeding, birthing, creating woman. But what are you less than? A what? Ejaculating man? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that men are less than women or that those are the only two options. I talked about the spectrum of gender back in the introduction, and everyone has their own strengths and powers. But our cycles, the very thing used to oppress us and keep us small and quiet, make us amazing in our own right. Instead, I'm advocating for simply opting out of the patriarchy. I'm advocating for saying that this bullshit no longer has power over you, how you live your life. Instead, I'm advocating for simply opting out of the patriarchy. I'm advocating for saying that this bullshit no longer has power over you and how you live your life. Done. The bloody revolutionary oath. If you're ready to leave all the bullshit of the patriarchy and the taboo behind, say it out loud with me. Today, I swear that I'm done running away from my body. If you're ready to leave all the bullshit of the patriarchy and the taboo behind, say it out loud with me right now. Today, I swear that I am done running away from my body. I embrace her whole as she is right now at this exact moment. I love my body when I'm bleeding. I love her when I'm creating. I love her when I'm mourning. I love her when I win and when I lose. I love her in each and every phase of my menstrual cycle. I commit right now to learning all I can about my body and my cycles so I can fully embrace the wondrous beauty of my body each and every day. Don't get me started about PMS. The patriarchy has been so effective at disconnecting us from our bodies that 90% of women report having PMS symptoms, and we consider this normal. It's just part of being a woman. Nothing to see here, just keep moving. Of course, PMS is a really broad category. There are 200 plus symptoms that can be called PMS. There are 200 plus symptoms that can be There are 200 plus symptoms that can be called PMS. None of them are fun, and all of them are seen as the curse and just part of being a woman. Nonsense. Mood swings, bloating, pain, backaches, digestive issues from constipation to diarrhea, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, anger, sadness, depression, insomnia, overthinking, oversleeping, the desire to set your house on fire and walk away from the blazing inferno, Beyonce style, with just a baseball bat and a fabulous dress. It's all just part of being a woman in the patriarchy. That's the real end of the sentence. But none of it has to happen, as I mentioned in the introduction. There's so little research done on women that the list above is only a tiny fraction of the physical and emotional changes that happen before a period. Working with menstruating entrepreneurs for years, I've seen so many more symptoms. I've seen women wanting to scrap their whole business, feeling like a failure even when they're succeeding, tossing the website they worked so hard on, wasting time chasing shiny objects, changing their tagline again and again and again. Then there are all my mom clients. Are you a mom? If so, you probably know what's coming. You want to walk away from your house and kids with no note. Just take off. You cry in the shower so no one can hear. Also true for women with roommates, as I can attest. You feel disgusting month after month, mad at your body for not snapping immediately back to your pre-birth size even years later. That's not just PMS, but also patriarchal BS. I'd call it PBS, but I don't want to disparage the public broadcasting system. All those PMS symptoms make us pull further away from our bodies. We assume our female bodies are the problem. The patriarchy has us so convinced our cycles are what make us weak that we just shut them off. We take birth control pills back to back, insert hormonal IUDs, or get shots, rings, implants, all these attempts to make things better that actually only make them worse. But the further we run from the problem, the worse it gets. The solution to patriarchal bullshit. I propose a radical solution. Let's run towards our bodies. Let's stop trying to fit our beautiful bodies into a man-shaped ideal or try to turn them into the perfect body as determined by a bunch of white dudes. Let's run towards our cycle, embracing the very thing we've been taught to hide. Let's embrace the rhythm, the flow. Let's completely abandon the patriarchy and instead love all our bits and pieces, our masculine and feminine, our yin and our yang. Let's embrace everything our bodies do, the souls they house, the minds they keep sharp, and the creativity they birth. Let's thrive by simply opting out of the culture that tells us to stay small, quiet, hidden, and battling our bodies. Let's fall in love with ourselves. We come in all shapes, sizes, and bodies. We have different rhythms, but we're all women, and only we can define what that means for us. You don't have to bleed to love your feminine. You could have no uterus for any reason at all and still be a woman. Men could learn so much about themselves if they could embrace their feminine, yin, winter, and water. The key here is that feminine is not a bad word. It's the quiet strength that will still be here long after the male-dominated star burns itself out trying to shine the brightest 24/7 forever. Chapter 1 Summary. The greatest trick the patriarchy ever pulled was convincing women that they're less than men and that other women are competitors for scarce resources. The underlying message that women aren't enough as they are has been reinforced by decades of marketing messages being promoted around us relentlessly. This consistent messaging has distanced us from our bodies and disconnected us from our natural cycles, creating shame, judgment, and even hate towards ourselves. The solution is to replace that negativity by reconnecting with our bodies and the inherent power of our cycles. Whew. I think that was the clumsiest recording I've done yet, but it's done, and my editor will probably get another hour worth of payment just editing out all of those mistakes. But that's all right. It's done, and that's what's important. So moving on to the next step, chapter 2. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. I thought it would be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you here with our next probably compilation video from the Clock app. All right, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.